Hello everybody, this is Nasir and you're watching Scope 360. We have an exciting show for you today. We have an individual who is running as a school trustee for wards 2 and 6 in the beautiful city of Brampton and for the Peel District School Board. And I would like to welcome my friend and candidate, Mr. David Bosveld. Welcome, Dave, to our studio.
Thanks, Nas.
So Dave, why don't you tell our audience and our voters a little bit about yourself, your background, and why you're doing this crazy thing and running for as a school trustee?
Okay, so where to begin?
From the beginning.
From the beginning.
Yes, sir.
And I've known you for so long. 25 years ago, we worked together at Bell.
Yes.
And I'm actually still working there. I got involved in the union, and I got involved in a lot of fights for workers' rights and organizing. And I developed a passion for just really being active in the workplace and in the community. And as a result of some of that work, I built some skills and I took them into different areas like, for example, my condo association. I decided after having some problems with the leadership there and facing some discrimination, that the best thing to do would be to mobilize the community, talk to people, and I found out very quickly that people were having very similar issues to the issues that I was experiencing, and I wanted to do something about it. And the interesting thing, I think, for the audience and for you, Nas, is that when we're trying to make change, and there's people, establishment people who are accustomed to wielding power in oppressive ways, those folks don't yield when you ask them to, even though they're supposed to be representing you, right? So you can ask a representative, can't we change this decision? And for the most part, it's no, this is how we're going to move forward. And so the only way to really fully impact change is to challenge them by running against them in cases where positions are up for election. So, I tried that on a relatively small scale in my townhouse community with, a couple hundred families who were feeling oppressed by the folks that were supposed to be representing them. And after mobilizing folks in the community and, building a new leadership team, we changed the dynamics completely. And, there's been so much history of people being shut out from positions of power, particularly brown and black people, in not just Brampton, but across this great country. And one of the things I think that we all can learn together, and one of the things that led me to this place, is that there are opportunities to make a difference by actually engaging in the processes. And by the way, when we talk about democratic processes, a lot of us think about voting as the be-all and end-all. And when you actually engage in the consultations, in the board meetings, and when you speak out at various events that are held by systems, you find that there's an ongoing process of democracy, right? The first thing is we elect leaders, and then for 4 years, let's say we have these leaders, that's 4 years where we're able to hold them accountable and try to convince them to do things that are necessary to make our communities better and more safe.
Excellent, excellent. Now I know, Dave, we've known each other for a very long time, for over 25 years. So now we're 26, right? I know that you've been extremely passionate. You've been a union representative. You fought for the rights of the employees and so forth. And I guess that kind of, and then with your condo, and so that kind of builds your whole passion about being the advocate, being the voice for the people who don't have a voice, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean, my experience, that's been my experience,
yes.
Right? So like fighting for working people, like that includes everybody, right? So union rights bring equity into workplaces. They make it so that people, bosses can't give raises to one subset of people or one identity group and not the others. You have to follow a collective agreement, and collective bargaining rights are actual rights in this country, right? And so anybody has the right to join and be represented by a union. And when you sort of go into unions, you're trained and you receive information that people that aren't active in unions maybe aren't aware of in terms of how to advocate and how systems move and how to oppose decisions that are harmful for working people. And you can translate that into other areas in the community. And after 2020, when George Floyd was murdered, right, there was a big swell of activism, and people were angry. People were upset at seeing a man literally murdered on live TV, as was I. So I started saying, like, where can I use the skills that I have to benefit my community? And I got involved in a whole bunch of stuff. We started a not-for-profit called the Black Education Fund, which helps young Black students with their university and college expenses. We raise money and we distribute it to people who apply for the scholarships. And that was really exciting. That connected me with a whole bunch of folks in the community that were doing similar work, particularly around education, right? When we think about education, education is also a right, but education isn't being delivered equitably. It's not being delivered in non-discriminatory ways. And sometimes it's being delivered in quite a Eurocentric way, when we know that there is a whole subset of identity groups that are sort of left out of that experience, and they end up feeling marginalized by that very system. The system that they should be able to use to advance their family's future is actually a system that oppresses them and turns them away. And where do they go, right? When the society looks at people and says, well, you could have just got an education.
Right.
What are the barriers to that for various identity groups? And what we found in Peel Region was that, in particular, Black students and Muslim students were being harmed, discriminated against, denied opportunities for specialized programming, suspended, excluded, and expelled at far greater rates than their proportion in the school would predict.
Right.
A 6-year-old girl was handcuffed by police. Just to give that as an example, there was police in every high school, and the police, according to one of their officers, were using the school resource officer program to hone their investigative skills.
Wow.
Right? As opposed to being a positive force.
This is just recent. This is
This is a couple of years ago.
A couple of years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So there were stories. There was an investigation, and that didn't do the trick of getting people to take action. The leadership of the board was obstructing the community members that were coming to the meetings and demanding a better situation for their children. So as a result of that, they pushed and pushed and pushed. Then there was a review. Then the Minister of Education actually stripped the Board of Trustees of all of their powers as a result of their dysfunction, the discrimination, anti-Black racism, and their inability to do anything about it. The board director was fired.
Wow.
So I mean, this was big, and 27 directives were issued to the board to direct them in how to solve this problem. And so we're at the place now where those directives have been in place for a couple of years.
Okay.
And we're looking to really expedite the work of realizing the gains that we should realize, based on the board has been literally taken over by an appointed supervisor because they were unable and unwilling and unskilled to make the education system work for all kids from all identity groups.
Now you have, I can tell you're passionate about this, and you definitely want to make a change, right? Now you have 2 children as well, and they're, I think it was 15 and 9?
Yeah.
Boy and a girl?
That's right. So yeah, my 9-year-old, and the experience varies for everybody, right?
Okay.
My 9-year-old's having a good experience, and she's had teachers that she loves, and she's had a Black teacher in grade 2, right? And by the way, studies show that having a teacher that reflects your own identity when you're not white, when you're Black or otherwise, improves the chances of you graduating and going on to university.
Excellent.
This is factual.
Perfect. Now hold that thought.
Yep.
We're going to take a break.
Okay.
We're going to come back and we're going to discuss a lot of the other issues that are happening in Brampton and boards 2 and 6, and what are the changes you're going to make. So stay tuned and we'll be right back.